And this is the Disc Golf Show. Today is July 1st, and it's going to be episode 13 of the season 2025. See what we did there? I know you did. Because you're smart. You catch this kind of stuff. I wouldn't catch it, but you catch it because you're way smarter than I am. My name is Justin. With me today are these two gentlemen, wherever they happen to be placed on the screen.
Yeah, I'm Nick. That's me.
Hey, I'm Ken, a.k.a. Can You Putt?
Yes, he is. We're all back. We're all back for this episode. We just couldn't wait to get back here and give you some more disc golf-related news, so we all had to be together. We gathered this morning, and we sang Kumbaya. We had some s'mores. We talked about some things. And we came up with some show notes and decided to give you a show, because that's how we do it. It's organic here. This show is brought to you in part... What?
Personally, really quick, I just wanted to let you know that I'm so glad you didn't go through with the rhinoplasty.
I thought about it, but, I decided I should just love me for me, And then I did, and we carried on. This show is not brought to you by rhinoplasty or s'mores in any part, but it is brought to you by Final 9 Sports, with their two locations, one in Orangevale, one in Rocklin. The message is support local. That's our, local pro shop, so we tell you, get out there, buy stuff, and we buy stuff from them, and we appreciate their support for the show. If you can't buy local, we've got a solution for you. That's right. You can go online to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow, and guess what? If you use that, the little slash in the thing, I used it recently just to check it out. Okay, to save 10%, because it saves you 10%, use the code. It'll save you 10%. Why not use it, right? It's 10% off of most things, unless they're on sale. There's a couple of caveats, but nobody really cares about that, okay? Just, if you can't support local, there's a place for you to go. Save 10%. It's a good deal. Do it. And if you don't, Nick will find you. News. All news and threats brought to you by the news segment. Nick, go ahead. Take it away.
All right.
What do we got? Start us off on the news. We got lots of it.
So
Let me get through it.
There was an update. Now, I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe even 3 weeks ago, where there was an announcement that Ben Askren, if you don't know who Ben Askren is, he is a AM champ, AM Worlds, I think, back in the day. He is a MMA fighter, and he is a disc golfer. He ran a couple celebrity disc golf tournaments over the past few years, several years, and he has his own course on his property. The thing that was mentioned or brought up was he actually ended up getting, having an infection, getting pneumonia, and he ended up going into a coma. He's been in a coma for a while, I think a couple weeks or so, and most recently, it sounds like he ended up getting a double lung transplant. The issue that actually came up was, guess what? Surprise, surprise, his insurance didn't want to pay for it. So the most recent thing that I saw was that Jake Paul ended up announcing that he wanted to cover the costs because nobody else was stepping up. His thing is, him and Dana White, right, from UFC, like they head to head, right? There's some issues there, right? And for as obnoxious as Jake Paul can be sometimes, because everybody has their thing, he definitely was the one to step up here, and a big shout out to him for now. How that works out, we don't know. It's just that most recent, like I said, Ben Askren's wife stated that he got his double lung transplant, and thanks those donating the funds to take care of such a procedure. So
yeah, that's awesome, and
healing vibes going out Ben's way, man. I hope he recovers fully from this.
For sure. It's just it's a pity that in this country we have insurance problems like that. And that's all I'll say, because otherwise we're going to get on a soapbox, and this doesn't become the Disc Golf Show. This becomes something completely different. Up next, okay, love is in the air, apparently. 'Tis the season. To, some might say, as we lose Ken, he agreed so vehemently. Yeah. He was like, you know what? That's it, I'm out. Can't handle this love stuff. Gavin Babcock gets married. Congratulations to the Babcocks. Your disc golf career is now going to Just kidding. Wish you the best of luck. You'll be fine. And the well, I don't know if they're the Marweeds yet, but Andrew Marweed gets married, and I have no idea how to say her last name, but it's Lindsay. So congratulations. I'm not even going to try it because I'm going to butcher the crap out of it. You can try it if you want, Nick. I'm not.
Yeah, I would think it was pronounced Juba.
I would guess.
That's my shot, guys. That's my shot.
Yeah, I have 4 letters in my last name, and that's rough on people. So I would try it.
Yeah,
but I'd mess it up. So, but congratulations nonetheless. So 2 in there, and then super cool. Isaac Robinson and wife are announcing they're having a baby, which is really cool. I think we mentioned this already, but I'm just bringing it up again. And then, who's pregnant, Nick?
Lucky.
Who announced it? Lucky. That's right. In November. Ken, why don't you disconnect and reconnect, because I can hear us repeating all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
All right. With that said, as we wait for the reconnect, maybe. There we go. We'll just move on to the next section. Masters, Worlds, Pro, and Am starts today. Wow. You better get on board and line up how you're going to view it. I have a couple suggestions for you how you could watch that. But good luck to everybody that's competing in there, and can't wait to see the outcome of that. Great event. I love watching it when I can, and getting at least getting a hold of the highlights afterwards if I can.
Hey,
just saying.
Our very own for the show, Bruce.
Bruce from Final 9 Sports. Yeah.
So he's over there now. Shout out to him. Good luck. There's several people that I know that made the journey out there, and in their various divisions. So, like you said, good luck. Good luck to you guys. Talking about Worlds, USWDGC recently happened. And I'm sure you've heard about this already because this was a couple weeks ago. This 2 weekends ago. The person that won was Evelina. And Evelina, she's now got, well, I guess I can't necessarily say because we'll get to that point. But there were a couple DNFs. Let's go through this. There were a couple DNFs. Kona DNF due to sickness. Katrina Allen DNF. Only after 9 holes of the first round. Oh.
I'm back.
Yeah, we're still here. Reverb on you.
What about now?
Oh, nice. Perfect. Okay, so
I had to mute him.
Okay. Katrina Allen DNF after 9 holes due to a sick baby. So we hope it's been enough time by now. Hopefully the baby's past all that. But little baby Eloise wasn't feeling good per Austin Hannum. So she ended up bowing out. I know that there were a massive amount of weather delays at that event, but a couple highlights was, one, Evelina got an ace on hole 16 in the first round, which is awesome to see. And the other one is, we've heard this name kind of climbing the ladder, but Cadence Burge ended up tying for second at USWDGC with Haley King. And Cadence her confidence has definitely been building. We mentioned this last show that she stated that she feels like she can win, and she just feels the confidence building. So big shout out to her. Yeah, hold on. The issue at this event, though, was the trophy. Now, I don't know if you've seen pictures of this trophy. Not the best trophy to have for a women's event. I just think maybe there was something else that could have been done.
It was a little phallic. Yeah. I know what it was supposed to be. It makes sense. I get it. Just could have been a little bit more obvious in the design.
Could have been a lot more detail to show exactly what it was supposed to be.
Right.
I think that poor outcome.
The
effort.
Communications were definitely missed.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But big shout out to everybody who went out there, because the USWDGC is massive. It's not just pros, it's AMs, it's everything. It's usually 5 courses, 3 to 5 courses, depending on how many people show up, whatever. I know when it was here in town, it was our local 3 courses, and they shuffled around through them. But it's a massive undertaking, I can say that. And shout out to everybody who participated, and a big congratulations to Evelina for adding another major onto her record with that one.
For sure. Do you want to take the next one, Ken?
Sure. Terry Miller also some YouTube coverage of some doubles of that event. And then next bit, and Austin Turner gets a, while the women were playing, he gets his win go throw event at the Majestic.
Yep.
Absolutely. The DGPT Creators Challenge also happened. That was a thing, and I caught none of this. So I know, because of the show notes, Brody Smith was back, and I do enjoy watching Mr. Brody throw, so I will definitely try to catch some highlights and catch up on that event. And I believe they have that on DGN as well. I think they usually cover that too, so I can go on there later and catch up on those highlights. But I didn't get a chance to watch it. You guys have anything you want to say about it?
You were a little busy. So
a little busy, and I was out of town.
I wasn't saying a little man that was busy. You were a little busy.
Right. You know? I got you, man.
To me, it was. I feel like it was way better of an event in person than watching it, because it felt a bit unorganized. It felt a bit jumbled. I know Terry and Jeremy were hosting it, Coling and Miller. Mm-hmm. And so they did a great job as hosts, but it was just a little choppy. Like I said, some of the rules, like there were surprise rules on a couple of the holes and stuff like that.
That's cool.
But there was added cash. Ended up being that the players didn't even know this. So the person kind of heading this up, he came in like right before it started and was like, "Hey guys, there's $2,000 on the line. Have fun and throw some crazy shots, but there's also a little money on the line." So
no pressure.
Yeah, it was a cool event, and it's good to see the creators out there as well. You had the foundation guys who were out there. You had Broderick. You had Bodanza. Jay Milley was out there. There was a musician guy.
Robbie C. was out there.
Yeah, Robbie C. was out there. So there were several of the creators that get involved. And that's always fun because, again, even with that, it's just more exposure. So, maybe one day we can, maybe one day.
You never know.
And with the creators out there, I think it gave more, like personality and stuff like that. Some of the disc golfers that we have on tour, they're not the great personalities that are out there. And I do like that Terry and Coling were both like interviewing in between, shots and stuff like that. But like you said, that did kind of stretch it out and make it really awkward.
Yeah. Well, also the fact that there were some of the creators, they weren't like, obviously the majority of them have been playing a while. They aren't solely creators. They're disc golfers who are also creators for the most part, except for the music guy. What's his name? Something Makes Music. Anyways, he was teamed up with Simon, and he had some of the best throws out of the creators, but he'd never even played in a tournament. He'd never played in a weekly, and he ends up getting onto this at this event, which is awesome. So maybe it wasn't a good representation of an actual true AM. It was more of a representation of a disc golfer who does media and creates a creator type personality. So, but it was fun to watch. All the same, it was cool to watch. Hopefully it gets dialed in as the years go if they continue to do it, which I don't see why they wouldn't, because it's just something else to be added to Disc Golf Network and the tour, a fun thing. And you need those breaks in between the tournaments. So Yeah, it was cool.
Absolutely.
Oh, I guess I'll jump into the next one. I guess European Disc Golf Championship was also a thing that just happened, and this was while was this while the Majestic was going on? No, that was USWDGC.
During
Yeah,
Des Moines,
that's right.
they literally, if you were up early
Yeah.
enough, like
Yeah.
3 a.m., you could go right from the European coverage right into the FPO
Which is
coverage
what I
in
did.
Des Moines.
I
It
saw
was
the final,
crazy. Yeah.
of the last couple rounds, I think it was, and it was a it was a battle in one division and a slaughter in the other. Okay, and the slaughter was an MPO. Nicolas Antela ended up winning by 16 strokes, which, by the way, was the full count for second place. So second place was 16 under, and Nicolas won at 32 under. So he just dominated this event. And the course was beautiful. It's one of those events where there's the baskets are right near the water. There's a lot of wind coming off the water. So there was a hole where I think it was Henna had these putts. She had a putt for par, I think it was. Might have been birdie. But she ended up having to putt 3 times that ended up going OB, which ends up giving her like a 4 over on that hole. So beautiful course. The battle, however, was between Evelina and Kristen.
Yep.
And like I came into it with, I think, probably half that round left, and Evelina was up, but Kristen came back. She ties it up, and then they go into overtime. So they had a playoff.
Playoff.
And in this playoff, well, actually, you know what? Before I even get to who won that, Evelina had an ace at USWDGC. She also gets an ace on par 4, which is like an island hole, and she aces a par 4. So she's just knocking these down in the U.S., in Europe. Like, she's dialed in right now. And due to that fact, she ends up getting the win in the playoff hole. So it was the FPO division was definitely intense. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Disc Golf Network, or I think they might have it on YouTube.
Yeah, MGT. You know, the one I mentioned last podcast. That MG greatest.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of the European ones. If you search it out, you'll find it. You know, speaking of the wind and everything, I know during the final round, Kristen had a putt that literally blew out because of the wind. And it was, she just kind of shrugged it off. She even smiled about it, but it was clearly in, and the wind gust just came and just blew it right back in her face. It's a shame that there was so much wind. They delayed it. They tried to do what they could, you know, to get it, and they ended up shotgun starting the final round for the FPO coverage. Right. So that post-produced coverage is a little wonky to watch, but I watched it. It's out there. So if you want to see it, it's either on DGN, you can watch the whole live coverage, where the final round they're actually switching between FPO and MPO coverage, you know. But if you want to watch the actual just FPO coverage, you can watch post-produced.
But if you get like Ken said, if you get the chance, go check it out, because then you get an idea of those courses over there, because the courses over there are beautiful, and we'll get to that later on in the show. But yeah. Congrats to Evelina on another one.
Yep. Another one down. I think...
Yeah, she's on fire now.
For sure.
She's doing terrific.
Sure. I was actually in San Francisco, and Evelina's ace came up on like one of those Instagram feeds, and me and my wife were sitting in a coffee shop. I was like, oh, look at this! And we were both in there like, whoa! And everybody was like, what are they doing? So it was pretty cool. It was an awesome ace.
Yeah.
Just hung out. Bam! It was cool. Good ace. Discmania Challenge. That's our next note on the show notes, right? Guess who won? I was going to give it to you.
I mean, leading up from USWDGC, man.
Burge again.
Yeah.
There we go. On fire. First actual DGPT win, which is awesome. Lots of stuff going off on this one. I think it was a pretty good at least highlight reel for myself to watch. Lots of different, like, dynamics back and forth. And I think, yeah, okay, you did put it in here. Also, a first DGPT win from Ezra Aderhold as well, which is awesome to see as well. So we have 2 first-time wins for FPO and MPO, which is really cool to see. I like seeing that kind of stuff. So I know you had more notes about it, Nick, so I won't steal your thunder.
Well, I mean, basically the last time that happened was in 2011 at King of the Lake, and King of the Lake is actually in our area. It's South Lake Tahoe, or Lake Tahoe. And first time since 2011 that you had 2 brand new winners on tour, first time winners. So shout out to them. Ezra's been battling. He's had a lot of close calls over the past couple of years, and been right up there this year. So he has his brother on the bag. Like, he got super emotional before he even tapped in. Both Candice and him got emotional, and well deserved because
for sure.
They've been wanting it. They've been wanting it. But I do gotta say, on Candice's end, I definitely get a Val Jenkins vibe from her. And what I mean by that is her style of play and her mannerisms. She's reserved. She's not boisterous. She's not crazy. She's very gathered when she plays. Even at that final hole, when she's getting emotional, she locks it in. Like, you could see her getting that, those feelings building up. But then you also see her going, like, talking to Robbie C, because Robbie C was caddying for her. Like, I have to still finish out. I know I have it, but I still need to, let's do this, So I think that's a good compliment, if anything, is you remind me of Val Jenkins.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and just a few holes earlier before that, she had a meltdown. Let's call it what it is. She literally was crying on the course. So I don't know if it was Robbie C that kind of gathered her back in, maybe her father being there or whatever. But like you said, to gather yourself after that kind of meltdown, and she really did play pretty piss poor for a few holes, but then luckily so did Holland. Just did not play up to her standards either. They both kind of faltered at the same time, and Candice was, able to gather herself enough. And that throw on 18 that she made, that clutch throw, to gather yourself after what went down, knowing that you're playing against the, Holland Handley, which again, no slouch. We know, her play in the last few years has been phenomenal. So to clutch up and throw that throw on 18, if you guys haven't seen it, go watch the live on DGN, or again, watch Jomez, the post-produce. It is phenomenal. And like you said, the after the round with her father being there and just yelling, letting out a guttural scream, and then to Ezra too, letting out his guttural scream and flexing and, having his brother on the bag. Like, it was awesome event. Awesome event. And I love Des Moines, course. I always talk about the courses. Des Moines is a great course.
I agree. I really like the layout and the variation of shot shapes that they had out there. I like that it's woods mixed with some, and they involve the trees a lot. Like, it's not just out in the open, but there are some open shots that they can really rip. Really fun event to watch. I was glad.
Absolutely.
I was happy for both of them.
Absolutely. Another thing that's really fun to watch is this show. So, hey, quick reminder, hit subscribe down below if you're enjoying what you're watching there. It helps us out. We appreciate it. Helps us bring you more, more things like this.
My God, are you still talking?
Yes, we are still talking, because this is the part of the show where we talk about some disc golf conversation. And I didn't have anything. I looked back through all of our recent episodes. No comments on, Spotify's or the places or YouTube, but that's fine. Quick reminder, though, at the end of all of our episodes, at least on YouTube, and I just figured out how to do a question poll on Spotify again. Anyway, you don't care. I figured out how to do it, so it'll be on there. But down at the bottom of the YouTube, especially, there'll be the question of the show, and we we phrase the question to you so that you can have a little bit of input too. And what do you think? Because we like to read all the comments and see what you guys have to say. And if you say something, we'll highlight it here on the show. But let's cover a little something that just came out here recently and gather some opinions. I'm actually really interested in this one too, and I'm glad you picked this one out, because I saw this on my own. I'm like, ooh, and then you already had it, so we're good. Jimmy Fallon and Brad Pitt had a little skit where it involved disc golf, and they were very much making fun of disc golf in this skit. I have seen a lot of different opinions. I've even seen some opinions online from different disc golf channels saying disc golf is a joke. And I think opinions are a little, well, I don't know. I think maybe the video was taken a little abrasively, and I don't think it was meant that way. It's comedy, right? And comedy's subjective, right? You know, I don't think they were trying to necessarily take the piss out of disc golf. I think they're just having fun with it. And, you know, hey, disc golf is what it is, and it has its lineage, and there are some, you know, the beginnings of the sport, if you will, and I actually think they played pretty good homage to that. And the very first time that I played something like disc golf, in Seattle, we took a Frisbee and threw it against trees and stuff, and that was what happened. So, like, some of the stuff they were doing in this video is very reminiscent of things that I have done and have seen, and that other people have done and seen. I thought it was hilarious, but what do you guys think?
Well, no, I thought
Nick
it
at
was funny.
discgolfshow.com.
It also gave me the whole, I want to say, was it Michael Jordan commercial? Like off the backboard, off the rafters, off the, you know, that vibe.
Yeah.
It was funny. Yes, it's one of those things that if you're really like hardcore, oh, you know, I can see people going one step forward, two steps back, you know, like
I literally saw that comment.
Well,
I literally saw that comment.
Of course. But, and by the way, it was not me. But
this time,
when anything is relayed via comedy, you have to take it in that manner. You don't take it as they're just straight up making fun, because you can make fun of a ton of stuff. You can make fun of LeBron flopping all day long.
Sure.
Like you can make fun of all kinds of different things, and those are.
And you have to take into context who is making the video. I have never once watched a skit from Jimmy Fallon and went, ooh, this hard-hitting reporter with the facts. I wonder what he has to say. No.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not who he is, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I
comedy.
had a couple, like, initially I was like, oh, why are they doing the hippie thing, the tie-dye? But
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, ultimately, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't take offense to it. It was one of those things that, like, my initial reaction was like, why are you presenting it like this? But it's because, like you said, the historical lineage portion of disc golf, that's where it was. And a lot of people don't know where it currently is. And you can't fault them for not realizing that disc golfers are able to make millions of dollars throwing plastic. Like, most people think disc golf, they don't think legitimate, high-paid athlete sport. They just don't. And so, though they probably, I'm guessing, did quite a bit of research, I mean, they were using kind of more lid-style discs, but again, that's where it started. So you can't take anything personal. It was all in fun. Like,
you have disc golf manufacturers still making catch discs
that are legal to throw.
Yeah. So it's not that far off.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought the reason why I put this in there was solely for the purpose that I knew before even seeing comments what the variation was going to be. It was going to be from, oh, this is hilarious, to how could you do this to us? Like, I don't know, man. Don't be so stupid.
Real quick, I'll try to be quick about this. Jimmy Fallon also has a skit where he plays children's toys in songs with the artists.
Fire, by the way.
He sat there with Metallica playing children's toys and playing their songs. Things like that. He does it all the time. He does these kind of skits all the time. They're skits. They are literally skits. he wasn't going to show actual disc golf. He wasn't going to show, you know, it seriously. He does karaoke sections, stuff like that. But then also think of other sports. Basketball has the Harlem
Mm-hmm.
Globetrotters. Do you think somebody's watching the Harlem Globetrotters and going, "Oh man, this basketball thing, this really stinks"? Like, look at what they're doing. They're breaking all
There's
the
one
rules. The Harlem Globetrotters always
There's one guy out
win.
there.
Like,
There's one guy
no.
out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's one guy out
One
there.
step forward, two
I
steps
played
back.
15 years. I played 15 years in slow pitch softball. You'd think anybody came to my games and went, "Oh man, this Major League Baseball is terrible." What are they doing? Chugging beers, doing shotguns after everybody hits a home run and stuff like that. Like, you got to put it in
Third
context. He was taking the piss out of disc golf, and he called it frisbee golf. Again,
Yeah.
they weren't even trying to make it fun. Tosh.0 did it after the Albatross that Philo hit. He also took the piss out of disc golf. They knew what disc golf was. They know that it's a sport, with professionals and things like that. I'm sure at least somebody did. And if they didn't, who cares? I'm of the adage of any news is good news when it comes to disc golf. The fact that it was out there and now somebody might have seen it and said, "Oh, is that a thing? Oh, I used to do that with my lids." And if they look up frisbee golf, they're going to see the pro disc golfers now. It's not going to be where you do a Google search and it's, early 2000s and you might just only find the hippies out there playing. You will now find DGN, Jomez, Terry Millers of the world, Central Coast. Yeah, they'll find us. If you search long
Search
enough,
really
you'll find our
hard.
show. Things like that. Yeah. Just,
Way down the list.
we're there. So I had no problem with it.
I think the one thing that could have been awesome, and this is just like me wishing and hoping, is if they had included one of a top 20 disc golfer or something like that in it.
Oh,
Because
like a cameo or something?
that all the pros would have probably had a blast doing that. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Making
For
fun, like having fun like that would have been cool, So, but yeah, it was, dude, it's Brad Pitt, Jimmy Fallon. Like, come on. Don't take it so serious.
I mean, yeah, if you really look at it, they had some pretty sweet gear and equipment.
Gear.
Oh my.
And equipment.
Segue.
All right, I forced that one. All right? I forced that one.
Well done.
But whatever. I liked it, and that's all that matters. DiscGolfDealsUSA.com/Disc Golf Show will save you 10% if you use that exact code. Look in the show notes down below. Save yourself 10% off of some gear. Maybe you want to pick up some of these that we're going to talk about after they've been released so you can get your grubby little fingers on these discs that have just been approved. Some really interesting stuff, actually, has come out this month. Stokely discs, we'll start off with those bad mamba jambas. Just had the pigeon approved. He's keeping the bird theme. I like it. You have the wren, you have the lark. I love it. Keep it going. Castoplast had the, I think how you say it is sten, but it means stone, I guess. Recently approved, and it's like we were talking about, this is a catch disc that they just had approved. It's perfect for those beginners. It's perfectly legal to throw during a tournament, right? If you want to, you can use it during a round of disc golf if you want. It's like a putt and approach or something, but it's a catch disc. It's literally made to play catch and, in between your round or warm up or, do whatever. You got that rain delay, Texas, looking at you, right? During those tournaments, you have the catch disc you can go out there and play with. Which I think is really cool. So I love seeing that kind of stuff being released. Wolfram had the Devour approved. And you're like, who is Wolfram? That's a good question because they're brand new. This is their very first disc that's been approved. And if you look at the pictures, if you go on to PDGA's website, the plastic, at least on the one that was sent in for approval, it kind of reminds me of like the Blizzard plastic. Like when they first came out, it was like super bubbly. It kind of has that kind of look to it. As it kind of gets closer to the rim and the plastic like stretches out and builds up at the end, it kind of looks like that bubbly Blizzard kind of plastic. So I'd be interested to get my hands on one of those and check it out and see how it throws, if they're similar at all. Climo Disc Golf, which is awesome, had the Streak recently approved, and that was on the 23rd of June, and it's the 5th approval of this year for Climo. And it happens to look like a driver to me. It's a driver. It's definitely a driver, which is cool. Keep the Climo line running. I'm sure that, you know, the Discraft thingamajigger there is however that works out. They're appreciating the approvals there, and so is he, at least monetarily. You know what I mean? Interestingly enough, on June 27th, we had a ton of stuff that was approved. First one up I'm going to talk about is the Son Chen Pu. That's exactly how you say it. I looked it up because I had to, because I'm like, how do you pronounce that? Had the Student Leader recently approved. This is the first disc that they've had approved for this year, but it's actually their 6th overall discs. And it's interesting seeing like all these different companies from overseas, you know, outside of the States, getting all these discs approved, especially these, you know, Chinese manufacturers and things like that. So kind of cool seeing them come out. Supersonic Discs dropped a ton of discs that got approved, 6 in total, which is kind of, I think, going to be their modus operandi going forward, because I've noticed a pattern. They released their very first one in 2023, I think, the Momentum, and then they dropped 4 more all at once in 2024, and then they just now dropped 6 more all at once this month. So it looks like they're kind of saving up and then just submitting them all at once to get a huge chunk of them approved. So we'll probably see that pattern repeat going forward, but it is a Danish company that has, and you might remember this a couple of episodes ago, it's a Danish company that actually has all of their discs manufactured in Portugal, which I find incredibly intriguing. I don't know how that thing works, but I'm sure they would probably explain it to you if you read it on their website. I didn't read that far. I will say, they're previously approved and purchase available off of their website, and, you know, where you purchase discs. The Sugar Glider is really cool. It's like the big like squirrel, like flying squirrel thing. I don't know. Check it out. It's cool. I like it. So they had 6 of them approved. That is the Kodiak, the Stellar, the Gravity, the Lunaris, the IFO, and the Parked. Now, the IFO. I stress that one because you need to go look at this. Check out the links below, go on PDGA's website and look at the approval pictures for the IFO. It's interesting looking. It kind of comes up to a dome. It's a driver, right? So it's pointed at the edge, right? And it comes up to a dome, and it looks like it's going to be like a pretty extreme dome, and then all of a sudden, flat on the top. It's wicked looking. So it's almost dome and then perfectly flat. I want to know how that thing flies, because there's no numbers on it. There's no other information other than it's been approved. So we'll still have to wait and see what that thing's going to look like, what number ratings they are. But I definitely want to throw that thing because it looks weird, and I want to throw it. Approved in June on the 30th, Graham discs. I think we just added this in here. Had the Talonin, the Helsinki, the Stockholm, and the Paris approved. So again, go to PDGA. .com and look at their equipment certifications, and you can kind of look at that. Or Helsinki, sorry, whatever the heck I said. I was wrong. It's Helsinki. Because those are the name of places I should have. What did I say? Now I'm curious. What did I say? Helsinki? Incredibly wrong. Helsinki. Now that I look at it. Stockholm, Helsinki. I see what they're doing here. All right.
I love that manufacturers have to stretch and do things differently, because there are so many manufacturers now. So like you said, you're describing how they from what I learned from Trash Panda, they literally had to turn this disc over and put some weight on it and let it dry like that in order to get that flat part of the dome.
Yep.
Or do something to that in that nature, you know. But yeah, keep innovating. Like we don't know. We're still in the infancy of not just the game and the athletes and what they're capable of doing, but also in this design, I think. You know, people might think, oh, it's just another Firebird. It's just another T-Bird. It's just a knockoff of an AVR or whatever, and it's all been done before. It really hasn't. I don't think so anyway. You know, messing with the weights and the flight plates and the, and the edge, and if it's going to be, flatter or rounder or whatever, again, these discs that they're making now that are, like you said, super like catch disc like, but also then the ones that fly nowhere.
Right.
Who would have thought that a sport of flying discs that people were to come out with discs with no glide that dump to
Right.
the ground immediately, stuff
Right.
like that.
For your grenades and your, your different stuff that you want it to do that or whatever. No, absolutely. And we've always said, like, the more innovation, the more competition out there, the better, right? That'll drive down prices. It'll spark innovation, like you were saying. And I think, yeah, the more the merrier. For all the times on this show that you could probably count, or maybe not count, because I harp on it a lot, where there's no standardization of these type of things when it comes to speed and glide and all these kind of numbers that are thrown around. It's kind of a good thing in a way, right? We always have something new, right, that these companies are trying to push, which, hey, that's awesome. Keep it coming. Another thing that needs to keep coming is you, yes, you listening or watching this show right now. Use some of those codes out there. Vessi Shoes, we have an affiliate link to there. So you want to get yourself some disc golf shoes? Use some of those. Use that link. Buy yourself some amazing waterproof shoes. Unfortunately, some bad news at the end of the segment. Flight Towel is throwing in the towel. That's it. Closing the doors. They were offering everything on their website, 50% off of everything, but I think even the website is down now as of the filming and recording of this episode. You can still find some of their products out there online. It may be that they've already had, merchandise that they've acquired that they're selling off, but there will be no more new flight towels as they are now. If you can't remember what a flight towel is, it's the towels for, disc golf that have like the little edge of the disc on it. You can kind of grip and actually, grip it like you're going to in a drive or whatever, and then, do your little towel warm up as you will. So those, get your hands on them if you want them. Pick up some stock on them if that's something that you're worried about not being able to replace, because once they're gone, they're gone. So sad to see it go, but all good things come to an end, right?
And I just wanted to add real quick, I know we didn't have it in show notes, but the new owners of Whale Sacks have announced themselves. So, go check them out, find out who they are. If you want to, keep following the social medias and supporting them, because it's a husband and wife team. So it looks like it certainly wasn't bought out by some investment group or anything like that. Still husband and wife team that bought it out. So, go check out the announcement for Whale Sacks.
We have a couple of those.
They're new owners, and I apologize for not remembering their names off the top of my head, but yeah, I know they made their announcement.
Try to figure that out and throw it into the next show so that we know exactly who they are. Maybe we'll get a hold of them. I don't know. We'll see. I think for the gear and equipment section, that does it. So that really leaves us one place to go, and that's here.
K-E-N versus
Disc golf.
That's right. He is versus disc golf. Ken, take it away. What do we got for fantasy? What's coming up? Who should we pick? What do we got?
Oh, fantasy is rough because, like we mentioned earlier, there are people playing everywhere. There was an event up in Alaska that Eric McCabe hosts every year. There's the Masters going on. So, some of your MPO and FPO that are of Masters ages are playing in the Masters division. We have the PCS that's going on right now. I think starts Thursday. Again, it's another 4-day event that some of the Americans went over to play PCS. So, as we say all the time, check your rosters. We have one guy in our league that unfortunately has not changed his lineup and doesn't check his, he's kind of
Thank you for the wins.
Freaking Casey.
Thank you for the wins.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. And I feel bad because I brought him into the league, but he promised me he would change his lineup anyway. I checked also our free agent list is no one you'll recognize anymore, just about. And thank you, Nick, for mentioning Rachel. What's her last name? Turton, because I picked her up. I snuck in there and grabbed her this morning because I needed an FBO because Macy Veladiaz isn't going over apparently, at least not yet. And neither is Hannah Wynn. I think Hannah's going to eventually get over there. That's the other thing I was going to say is, some of the people that you have in your roster may not be over for PCS, but will be over very shortly. But again, if you're playing everything, if you're, in a league like we are with Skip Ace, we have the PCS as one of ours. So get in that free agent list. You're not going to recognize some of the Europeans, but take a flyer
that's
on
something.
them. I would try to pronounce some of their names, but I can't.
Good luck.
So.
Good luck. That's something too, like in drafting. specifically this year I thought about is drafting some European players that maybe only play during those times so that I can capitalize when it comes round time, right? Like, hey, look, this is a kind of a big European event. Some of the names aren't going to come over that you traditionally see, on the DGN circuit, if you will. So I specifically picked up a couple players that now, hey, who's got the good ones, right? And that's right.
Yeah, you might reap the benefits
Maybe.
now. And, speaking of that, shout out to you two for both playing very well in recent fantasy events. The last 2 or 3 weeks, both of you have been second or third, or, Nick, you won last
talk
week,
about that.
right?
Yeah.
Justin, I know, Justin, you haven't, I
Hey,
don't think
you
you've
know
won
what?
yet. I'm not saying that to rub
No,
it in
you know
or,
what?
or
I
actually
think-
talk some
I think
trash.
Justin might have won one.
I did.
event.
I did one.
Yeah.
I did
Right?
one.
Yeah, you won like 3 weeks ago. Nick, you won last
and
week.
Thing is,
So
I gotta say, we've got a battle going. Justin and I have a battle going right now. Okay,
Nick will
we're
lose,
close.
but
Just like you and Roger are close, Justin and I are pretty close. So with this, seeing as how our fantasy league has grown a little bit, yes, not drastic, but a little bit, it's made those other battles kind of fun as well. Outside of you rooting on for your own players and everything, and your own lineup, but just the crap talk is fun as always.
absolutely.
And I get hammered with that from Justin day in and day out. So
As you should.
He's holding that up. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
as the
it's fun.
king of the
Fun.
crap talkery.
yeah,
Right.
That's that's just that's something that you have to do. So realistically, right now, if you're in front of your computer or your phone and you have access to email, who doesn't? The show at discgolfshow.com. And all you need to put in the subject line is Team Justin or Team Nick. That's all you have to put.
Yeah.
That's all you have
Yeah.
to put. Ken's gonna win. He's gonna win. Team Justin or Team Nick. Team Nick, I'll delete him. But if it's Team Justin,
I don't know.
you might get something. All right.
Roger's been fighting me, and again, this week, as Nick stated, I finally took over both points and now.
lost.
But again, thanks to you because of the win-loss, because you have beaten Roger multiple weeks now in a row. I've also that I've now taken over the count and the points count. So overall in both things, there never was. So I'm going to take that. It may only last 1 week.
You'll take
Boy,
it.
am I short when it comes to this session stretch, but I'm going for it. And Nick,
Well,
world
all right,
records, go for it.
perfect timing.
He did.
Yeah, so Ken's got Roger by one win, so that can change next week. So, But yeah, as for what you're looking at when choosing these players, the upcoming weeks, next couple weeks, by the time we have our next show, you've got July 4th to 6th, which again is in a couple days here, a few days. Like we said before, 2025 PCS Open presented by Innova. That's in Overus, Norway. That's a DGPT event. July 11th to 13th. That's a 2025 Krokol Open presented by Latitude 64 in Oslo, Norway. That's another beautiful course. And that's a DGPT event. And then as always, big shout out to our friends up north, September 12th to 14th. We're still pushing that Canadian Championship DGPTQ series in Port Hope, Ontario. So look out for those.
Check it out. Check it out.
You've got
Incoming mail.
Mail call!
He almost said something bad right there.
He almost did.
Product review. Lynn's twins. Did I get that right? Jordan and Morgan Lynn's discs and pins. You can help support their tour by picking up some of their goodies directly from them. So check that out. We highly encourage it.
And then also just another quick one to add on is when I was out of town last weekend before, I stopped by. Again, we always shout out the local pro shops, right? I stopped by Santa Cruz and picked up a little
Oh,
Santa
very cool.
Disc Zone. It's a new shop in the area in Santa Cruz. That's I know that they have there's a shipping container on the course, but those hours vary there at De La Viega, and so there's another pro shop in the area. So I stopped by there to support the pro shop. So big shout out to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then just really quick at the very end here, just a quick shout out to check out the final rounds of the Discmania Challenge and at least watch the highlights from the DGPT. You know where you can find them, right? DGN. You can go on YouTube too and check them out there. But just check them out. Really great events this time through, and highly encourage you to do so. I think that pretty much wraps it up for the show. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in as you do, and for leaving those comments down below and sending your emails to theshow@discgolfshow.com with your Team Justin support. I really appreciate that. Nobody wants to be on Team Nick. Let's just face it. If you're in the market for a new disc golf bag or maybe some swag, Upper Park Disc Golf, use their code DiscGolf, our code DiscGolfShow, to get yourself 15% off your entire purchase. That's a pretty good deal, and they have some really nice bags. I'm a little biased because I own two. One's for my son. I don't carry them both at the same time, although I have really thought about it. You know, be like the ultra Upper Park disc golf man. I don't know. I've got nothing. You can also go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow to save yourself 10% off your entire purchase for most things on their website. Save yourself some money. That's the name of the game. That's the theme towards the end of the episode and the top of the episode. This episode was brought to you in part also by Final 9 Sports. We appreciate them. Support local with their 2 locations, one in Orangevale, one in Rocklin. As I said, the show at discgolfshow.com with any of your inquiries, any of your questions, any of your hate for Nick, those type of things, send them that way. And remember, subscribe, if you will. It really helps us out. Remember, in disc golf as in life, aim high and let it fly. Bye-bye.